Alright, on the top of this aquarium is a plant known as Frogbit. It's a lot like duckweed, but the leaves are considerably smaller, and they seem to cluster in groups, maybe 3 or 4 leaflets. What's really noticeably different is that they have very long roots. Duckweed roots I don't believe get this long, at least not from my experience in my aquariums. But these get really long. Now, we won't be able to see it on the video, but the baby fish tend to congregate up there because there's a lot of microorganisms that flourish in those roots. So that's probably what they're there for, is feed on those little things. I believe they're cyclops. Cyclops can carry the cysts for camellianus worms, which are really a horrible thing to get in your aquarium. But camellianus worms have a life cycle, and I don't believe that the cyclops that grow in this aquarium would have any of those camellianus worm cysts, because these have been growing here for probably a year, year and a half, which would outlast the life cycle of the camellianus worms. You can see the roots in the back, the silhouette on the back there. I'm thinking they're about 3/4 of an inch long. That's pretty long for a little plant like Frogbit. I consider it a nuisance plant because if it were duckweed, you can skim it out a lot easier, and over time you can get every little duckweed plant out of there and never have it again. But Frogbit seems to break off into little fragments, and if one of those fragments still exists, it'll come back eventually. This is a 40-gallon, and the entire surface area has been covered from just a few straggling plants that were there perhaps 4 weeks ago, maybe not even that long. So it really can infest your aquarium if you don't want it. If you do want it, it's great for the baby fish. And if it's the only plant in your aquarium, all you have to do is, when you want to get rid of it, is just skim it all off. The complication comes when you have other plants in the aquarium, like these jungle valves or whatever they are. They come up to the surface. Now it intermingles with the Frogbit, and you can't skim it off completely. You could use some kind of a fencing to push all of the plants down and then wiggle it around, and the Frogbit will float to the surface, but you'd have to do that over a period of days to make sure that all the little fragments have made their way to the top, that you can skim them off. So it's, for this aquarium, it's going to be, as long as it exists, it's going to be an effort to try to keep it clean of Frogbit. Try to get a picture from the surface here. I'll have to take the lid off and the light. Okay, I've taken the top off. I'll show you what it looks like from the surface. Looks a lot like duckweed. But you may be able to pick out that it's a little bit smaller. It's hard to see when I zoom in because my camera gets blurry. But if you look at some of those out on the left side there, you can tell they got more of a four-leaf clover pattern than typical duckweed. If you want a swampy effect to your aquarium, it does the trick. And I've noticed also that the box filter type filters don't really mingle it around. I thought that they would mix that around and I would find this Frogbit plant all throughout the other leaves and plants in the aquarium. But it seems to develop a little bit of a flow, and after a short period of time they just stay away from the waterfall part there. Oh, there's one. It looks like you can see that one. It travels in and somehow with the surface tension it gets rejected and gets pushed away. That one is really a good one to show the pattern of it. Looks like there are 4 leaves, like a clover. So if you don't mind that on the top of your aquarium, it adds a certain aesthetic value. It definitely adds hiding places for small fish like baby guppies. These happen to be endlers in here. And it'll take some of the nitrates out of your aquarium as well, as long as you harvest the surface periodically and allow it to repopulate. So that's what I know about Frogbit. Hope it was helpful.